In this video, we're going to look at some of the tabletop games that have featured the iconic British comic book character, Judge Dredd. Judge Dredd, the iconic lawman of the future, first appeared in the British sort of anthology comic 2000 AD in around 1977. It was created by writer John Wagner and artist Carlos Ezquerra. I think I've got that right. And basically, Dredd patrols the dystopian streets of Mega City 1, which is a sprawling, crime-ridden metropolis in a post-apocalyptic world. He basically serves as judge, jury, and executioner in a brutal legal system where the rule of law is maintained by the judges, who basically these are an elite force who are empowered to deliver instant justice. Now, over time, Judge Dredd has become a bit of a sort of cultural touchstone, a bit of an iconic comic character, combining action, dark humour, and biting sort of social commentary to reflect on authoritarianism, state power, and social decay. Now, Judge Dredd's success in both comics and films have naturally led to the creation of several tabletop games over the years that have allowed fans to sort of explore the chaos of Mega City 1 sort of firsthand. With its vast lore and colourful characters and dystopian setting, the Judge Dredd universe has inspired quite a wide variety of board games, role-play games, and miniature sort of skirmish games. Now, Judge Dredd's appeal stems from its mix of gritty, sort of action-packed storytelling and satirical social commentary. As the ultimate enforcer of the law, Dredd's character often raises questions about justice, morality, and the sort of nature of authority. His world is filled with larger-than-life villains, bizarre mutants, and dangerous city streets. All perfect fodder for exciting and strategic tabletop gameplay. Now, this mix of action and thought-provoking themes has often made Dredd a pop culture icon, appearing in multiple media formats that have, over the years, have included films such as the Judge Dredd film in 1995 starring Sylvester Stallone, and a more recent one in 2012 which starred Carl Urban. And on top of that, there have been numerous tabletop games, some of which have become legendary in their own right. So the expansive universe of Judge Dredd, filled with the diverse factions, environments, and characters, have been adapted into a wide range of tabletop games over the years. Now, from classic sort of board games right through to detailed miniature skirmish games, and in this video, we're going to look at how the world of Mega City 1 has been translated into the realm of tabletop gaming. And the first one we're going to look at is Judge Dredd, the board game, which came out in 1982 and was produced by Games Workshop. It's one of the earliest adaptations of Judge Dredd to the tabletop gaming. It was essentially a board game. It was published by, as I said before, Games Workshop. And in this game, players take on the roles of various judges as they compete to fight crime in Mega City 1. The goal is to capture as many of the criminals as possible. by patrolling the different sectors of the city and dealing with various sort of threats like mutant gangs or rioters and notorious sort of villains. And this was a game that, as a teenager, we played to death. It was one of our favourite games. The game featured an innovative use of event cards, which could drastically alter the city's crime levels to introduce unexpected challenges. The game's combination of patrolling, sort of patrol management, crime fighting, and strategic planning made it a bit of a hit with the 2000 AD fans. Although it's pretty simple by modern standards, this game holds a special place in the tabletop history as one of the first of the successful licensed games based on the 2000 AD character. And it was one of my favourite games as a teenager. Now, the next we're going to look at is the Judge Dredd role-playing game. This was also by Games Workshop, and it came out in 1985. And it was an earlier sort of RPG adaptation for Judge Dredd. It was, as I said, it was released by Games Workshop in 85. It was written by Rick Priestley and Mark Gascoigne, and it allowed players to take on the roles of street judges, who then patrolled Megacity 1. The game kind of focused on the tactical decision making as players dealt with criminals, gangs, gang wars, and various different sort of disturbances across the city. It featured detailed miniatures as well to enhance the sort of gameplay. And it blended a mix of RPG storytelling with a sort of, I would guess you say, a sort of skirmish wargame style combat. And this game is fondly remembered by a lot of players for its faithfulness to the source material and the ability to recreate the thrill of sort of enforcing the law in the sort of brutal streets of Megacity 1. Now, the next game we're going to look at is, again, another one made by Games Workshop, and it was Block Mania in 1987. Now, Games Workshop followed up its success with Block Mania in 87, a board game that explores the chaotic block wars from Judge Dredd comics. Now, instead of playing as judges, players would take control of massive sort of residential city blocks, in which in the comics frequently erupted into violent conflicts. Now, each player's goal was to destroy their rival blocks using a mixture of sabotage, heavy weaponry, and street warfare. Now, all the while trying to avoid drawing the attention of the judges, who would then crack down on the chaos of it. So especially if that chaos became far too rampant. Now, Block Mania captured the sort of archaic spirit of Megacity 1's underworld, and it expanded its strategic depth with an expansion set called Mega Mania, which added even more options for block-to-block warfare. Now, Block Mania stands out for its unique sort of premise, in which allowing players to sort of experience the more archaic, destructive side of life in Megacity 1, offering intense sort of competitive play. Now, the next one we're going to look at is the Judge Dredd miniatures game, which came out in 2010 and was produced by Mongoose Publishing. Now, Mongoose had a history of adapting 2000 AD properties into games, as they produced the Judge Dredd miniature game in 2010, but they also had a role-play game. And this game uses skirmish sort of level rule set, where players field small forces of judges, criminals, and mutants, fighting for control over parts of Megacity 1. Now, the miniatures game is known for its detailed miniatures, which include famous characters from the comics, like Judge Anderson, Judge Death, and various other sort of the more infamous gangs. It had a focus on squad level tactics, terrain usage, and range combat. The Judge Dredd miniatures game captured the sort of brutal law enforcement dynamics of the world, while allowing for customization of armies, gangs, characters. The game was supported by Mongoose with numerous expansions, offering more sort of variety in terms of both gameplay and character sort of selection. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is another miniature game, skirmish game, but this time it's the Judge Dredd miniature game by Warlord Games, which came out in 2019. Now, Warlord launched their Judge Dredd miniatures game, as I said, in 2019, revitalising the universe for the modern tabletop audiences with a really detailed skirmish-level war game. Now, it's set again in Mega City 1, and this game pits rival forces against each other in small-scale tactical battles. Players can command a team of judges or gang members or mutants in the battle for dominance within the dystopian streets. The game offered detailed miniatures of a lot of the iconic characters from the comics, such as Judge Dredd, Judge Anderson, and the Dark Judges. And it allows players to relive some of the most sort of memorable clashes from the comic books, from the comics from over the years. And this game sort of features a blend of tactical combat, character progression, and customizable forces, which enabled players to craft quite unique scenarios and campaigns. Now, the miniatures themselves are named for their really good quality, and the modular nature of the game allows for endless sort of expansions, making it a really standout product in the miniature wargaming world. Warlord Games have also supported the release with a series of expansions, which includes character packs for additional factions, terrain packs to bring Mega City 1's iconic sort of cityscapes to life. The Judge Dredd miniatures game has become quite a favourite for fans of both the comics and miniature skirmish games. And it's mainly due to its flexibility and the quality of the miniatures and the attention to detail. Now, the next offering we're going to look at is Judge Dredd Helter Skelter, which was released in 2019 by Osprey Games. Now, Helter Skelter is a pretty fast-paced board game that uses the sort of core mechanics from the popular Wildlands game by Osprey. Helter Skelter is a sort of crossover game that features not only characters from Judge Dredd, but also other 2000 AD comic series like Road Trooper and Strontium Dog and Slain. The game's premise involves characters from these universes being thrown together in a sort of multi-dimensional collision where they must battle for control of the ruins of Mega City 1. The game is built for a skirmish style play with players controlling small squads of characters as they fight for territory. The combination of card-driven actions and strategic sort of movement provides quite a bit of depth and variety, while the inclusion of characters from across the 2000 AD universe adds a sort of exciting crossover element, especially for the fans of the comic books. Now, the next one we're going to look at is Judge Dredd: The Cursed Earth, which came out in 2020. This is a narrative-driven, focused board game, which was released by Osprey. Now, in The Cursed Earth, players must sort of navigate the harsh, lawless landscape outside of Megacity 1, known as the Cursed Earth. The game blends survival elements with exploration as players sort of encounter dangerous mutants, raiders, and the environment itself. Now, the game is cooperative, which means players working together to complete objectives while keeping themselves alive. The focus is on narrative and adventure, and it makes it stand out from the more combat-driven sort of skirmish games that are on offer. And it does offer a different kind of immersion into the Judge Dredd universe. Now, the appeal of Judge Dredd in tabletop gaming, especially within the Judge Dredd universe, is uniquely suited for tabletop gaming, and this is due to its complex sort of chaotic world and rich variety of sort of characters, scenarios and villains and all the rest of it. And whether it's patrolling the streets as a judge, battling the sort of rival city blocks, or engaging in strategic sort of skirmishes with miniatures, the sort of grim dystopian nature of Megacity 1 provides fertile ground for immersive sort of tactical gameplay. And moreover, the satirical tone and dark humour of the comics really allows for games that are both thrilling and thought-provoking, offering not just combat but also sort of moral dilemmas, and that gives it that bit of strategic depth and endless opportunities for creative storytelling. I mean, from the early days with Games Workshop's board games right through to sort of Warlord games and sort of Osprey's products, modern sort of miniatures, skirmish games and role-play games, the world of Judge Dredd has made a significant impact on tabletop gaming industry. Each game captures the essence of Judge Dredd universe in a sort of different way, and it offers the fans the opportunity to experience the action, tension and satire from the sort of background lore of Megacity 1 firsthand. Now, whether you're enforcing the law as a judge, or you're fighting off mutants in the wastelands of Cursed Earth, or leading a block to victory in an all-out urban warfare, Judge Dredd tabletop games offer quite an exciting, dynamic way to engage with this legendary comic book hero. For me, I over the years, I started playing the early sort of games from Games Workshop, and that Judge Dredd board game was one of my favourites, and I'm quite glad it's had a reprint recently, and I've got a copy of that reprint, and we'll do an unboxing video in a couple of weeks for that one. And I've also started jumping into the Warlords Judge Dredd miniatures game. I mean, I grew up reading 2000 AD. My younger brother was more into Marvel, and those never appealed to me. But Judge Dredd was and the characters in the 2000 AD universe appealed to me more. I think it was that sort of grim anti-hero rather than sort of good guy, all-American hero style that Marvel and DC were sort of projecting. 2000 was more me. It was gritty. It was the anti-hero. It was dark. And I found those stories more engaging. And over the years, I've played a lot of the Judge Dredd games. Now, one of the games we didn't mention was that Mongoose did produce a role-play game, which was a D20 affair, and they produced a lot of expansion books, and it was ran for a few years, and it was a really good game. We just didn't bring it up on this video, and I think you're gonna have to pick that up on eBay if you wanted copies of that particular roleplay game. Likewise, some of the Games Workshop's roleplay game for Judge Dredd, I think the only place you'll find that now is on things like eBay, and it's probably going to cost you quite a bit of money, because I don't think there's many of them floating about these days. But yeah, the offering over the years have been some really good. A lot of the games have been really, really good. I mean, I don't own the Osprey ones, but I have played them, and I quite enjoy playing them. So yeah, Judge Dredd for me is an iconic British comic book character, and transferring him into the tabletop, I think all of the companies that have done it over the years have done a pretty good job of it, and most of the games I've played have been really enjoyable. And I really liked Mongoose's miniatures game, but when it just sort of disappeared, it was quite disappointing. And then Warlord brought out their version of the miniature game. So there's always been games around Judge Dredd, to sort of dive into that universe, and I'm hoping we're going to see more tabletop games within the 2000 AD universe over the next couple of years. I'd like to see something to do around Road Trooper. Sorry, not Trader. I'm getting mixed up. Road Trooper. That would be quite good. A sort of skirmish game involving Road Trooper, and the Norths and Southerners and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, for me, Judge Dredd is one of the iconic IPs, and I really do enjoy playing with Judge Dredd games. So I'm hoping it sort of touched on some of them, like some of the sort of, I think they're all the better options that have been out there over the years. Yeah, Judge Dredd, what can I say? Really great background, really great IP, and it's a lot of the times they come onto the tabletop, they've been really great games. Anyway, that's all for this week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I shall see you next time.